Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
Hey everyone, Sue here at 1A Auto, and today we're going to be doing spark plugs on our 07 Mazda 6 sedan 2.3 liter. So if you need this part or any other part for your car, click on the description and head on over to 1aauto.com. To lift up the engine cover, it's just a plastic cover that has rubber prongs on it. We're just going to firmly lift it up. Set that aside. Here's the rubber bushings and the clips. And disconnect the coil connector. There's 4 of them because it's a 4-cylinder. You do that by pushing down on this tab. So you're going to push your thumbnail down on it and pull. And then we're going to dismount the coil. So we're going to remove the mounting bolts for each coil. This is an 8mm socket. Once you've dismounted the coil stud, you just grab it firmly, give it a little twist and pull, lift up. And here we'll be looking for any damage. You want to see if there's any white spark line, if you have a misfire. Oil does a lot of damage to coils, coil boots. Now we're going to remove the spark plug. The spark plug socket is a 5/8 socket, and it has that rubber boot inside that helps grab onto the ceramic part of the spark plug so it doesn't drop back down in. I can pull that out and show you. It's a mystery, I haven't seen them yet either. Let's see what they look like. Oh, well, we have a valve cover gasket leak. That's a good way to determine a valve cover gasket leak also. So the chamber seal on this valve cover is leaking oil down into the spark plug area where it stores actually. So we have to do a valve cover on this. Here we have our spark plugs from 1aauto.com, and this is the one I just took out of the car. Guaranteeing it's not original equipment. It shouldn't be. The car has 150,000 on it. They're both iridium. So that's what you're looking for, is to make sure you put original equipment style back in, especially when it comes to spark plugs. The manufacturer will tell you what it takes. I strongly recommend you put the exact one back in. So what you want to do is you also want to compare whenever you buy spark plugs to the actual length of the threads. Make sure the whole spark plug overall is the same length. Where it seats is the same length till the tip of the electrode. Looks good. Looks better because it's not filled with oil. So we have our spark plug, and before we put it in, I'm going to check the gap. Now you have inches on this side, and you have millimeters on this side, the dashes, on this particular gapper. This car max inches is 0.053, that's the max they want it. So I'm going to locate that on this area. So that's 50, and then obviously 3 dots after would be 0.53. So I like to go right in between. The minimal is 0.048, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go right for 50, but being iridium, they strongly recommend that you don't use a gapper tool against that. They don't want you to damage it. So I'm just going to slightly guide it in there and see where it's at. I can see that the gap is much smaller than what the minimal is for this car. So to gap it, I'm going to go in that open hole right there with that and pry back just a smidge. I'm going to go right to where 50 is and see if it, you do not want to force it because you don't want to bend that electrode. So I'm putting it in the gap there, and I'm pushing down on this end right here. I'm finding the 50 again, and I'm just lining it up. Perfect, goes right in out the 50. So now I'm going to do all 4 spark plugs that way, and then I'll install them. As you can see that I made sure I separated them. Clumsy fingers today. Perfect. So now to install, basically reverse procedure. Install the spark plug right into the spark plug socket. That rubber boot holds it, so that way when I bring it down into the chamber, it doesn't fall out and break the actual spark plug. I always like to you start them by hand. You don't want to cross thread spark plugs. Please, you don't want to do that. Once it bottoms out, I'll get my torque wrench because I'm going to torque these at the spec of 10 foot-pounds. The manufacturer calls for 10 foot-pounds, so that's what we're going to do. There you have it, that's 10 foot-pounds. We're going to put the coil back in. Even though this coil is going to get replaced, we're going to show you, in case your coil is in good shape and condition, not oil soaked, the procedure of the next step. We're also going to be doing a valve cover gasket, so keep an eye out for those videos, and we'll show you how to do the valve cover gasket and install the new coils. This just gets snugged down, bottomed out in a quarter turn. And then we'll automatically, I like to connect the coil as I move on down the line. I'm going to do one at a time. Now I know I've done that chamber. Heaven forbid I get called away. I don't know, I forget. But now I know that one's complete and I'm moving on. So this particular vehicle has an engine cover, and these are the plastic pieces that sit up inside the rubber boot on the engine cover. So this is a 15mm socket or wrench, and you have to remove that to get to the stud that mounts the coil. That's the only difference between cylinder 1 and 3. 2 and 4 both have the mounting connectors for the engine cover. So I'll take my 8mm socket and I'll take that stud out. Grab the coil and lift up. You'll see remnants of chipmunks. They're everywhere. I'm going to clean up that debris and then you can, throw it out. Once again, I've got an oil-soaked coil, so I'm glad that I've pre-ordered them and they're going to get installed. So on the last cylinder 4, when I pulled the coil out, it wasn't oil soaked, so that tells me the chamber seal is not leaking, but I'm still going to be doing a valve cover. But see the white soot around there? That tells me this coil also has a possibility of breaking down internally. There could be a crack in there where we can't see, and it's starting to spark out instead of a direct spark. It's starting to cause a little disperse in there. So check this out when you do your spark plugs. Check for oil, check for white soot, black soot. Strongly recommend, if you haven't done coils and you have 150,000 miles on the car, it's probably time.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.